Hi, this is Dr. Anita, and this is another diamond moment. As we've been saying, diamonds are produced by time, heat, and pressure. And as we've learned, the issues of our life go into the creation of those diamonds, but it's what we do with it, what we do with the knowledge that we've received, what we're able to garner from the experiences that we've had is what creates their value. If you missed the last episode, we've been talking about coincidence. We're talking about how coincidence is a way that eternal part of us can take us and teach us how to listen as well as how to be led by the Spirit of God, the Creator Source, and that we have to pay attention to what's going on inside of us. As I thought about the last episode, I thought about the fact that you can misinterpret at times what being led is and how you're led. Just as we're individuals, we have to realize that we're led in an individual way by God, Creator, Source, the universe. Doesn't speak to everybody the same way. And so as I relate to you some of the examples of how I have been led, I want you to think back and search back in your own life because God leads us individually. Our personalities are very different. The way that we perceive life and others around us are very different. And in the same way that God does not require us to be exactly like someone else, He also doesn't lead us exactly like someone else. I have, after doing some work on myself, because that is where everything starts, is being able to formulate ideas related to your past experiences within your own life. I say this all the time. We're not put here to live someone else's life. If we cannot die their death, we cannot live their life. So it's not about the other person. It's about us. It's about bringing ourselves to the highest and best within our own lives. It's about learning to utilize the inner guidance of God, Creator, Source, Spirit, the universe within us that's ordering, guiding, and directing our own steps, and learning how to be more proficient at it so that that leading will take us in the direction that God has for us to go, as opposed to the direction that someone outside of us has decided that we're going to go. That leading will take us to our true destiny, not to the destiny that someone has decided and assigned to our lives, but to take us to really being able to live in the center of our own lives, living in the center of the blessing that God, Creator, Source, the universe has for us and who we were created to be. One of the things that I know comes up in people's thinking, and I have said it here, if you are feeling as though you're being led to do something horrific to someone else, that's not God. How do I know that? I believe that to be true because Scripture tells us that God is love, and that whatsoever is born of God is born of love because God is love. And we have to realize that. It says in the King James, "Beloved, let us love one another because love is of God. And everyone that loves is born of God and knows God. He who loves not knows not God, for God is love." So I believe that to be true. I believe that to be one of the foundational and focus points in my life and in what I do. And in that, if something is telling you to hate, that is not God. Scripture goes so far to tell us to pray for those who use us, to bless and curse not. That we're supposed to be able to, number one, forgive, and also to be able to keep ourselves going in the right direction. When we stop and go a different way, when we turn away from what we know to be true in order to go after those lesser emotions of hate and retribution, those type things, it throws you off track. It throws your life off track. And it becomes one of those things when you go off track that you're going to have to deal with in order to get back on track. So I want us to understand that the leading of God, that inner voice, that thing that says, oh, wow, I was just thinking about you, and now here you are on the phone, or I was just looking at some pictures, and here we are, is to understand that there is no coincidence, that God leads, guides, orders, and directs, that he allows us to be able to have guidance from within, to know what to do, how to best reach our goals, the goals that God has given us, not, once again, something that somebody else decided that you're going to do. We have to be able and willing to walk in our own life unapologetically and be who we are. As I've said before, sometimes this requires us to move out in a direction, and everyone that was once on the path with us may not get an opportunity to go. We talked about reasons, seasons, and lifetimes, and sometimes people are with us for a reason, to help us to heal, to help us to benefit us in some way, or even to benefit them in some way. There's something that we can learn from each other. For a season, just for this particular time. Maybe it's as teens, and then as we grow into young adults and move out to have our own families, maybe our focus is elsewhere, and then we may come back together again in latter years and pick up that friendship or pick up that relationship again, a season. And then there are those that are there for a lifetime. They've just always been in your life. You've always had a connection to them. You may not talk every single day, but pretty much you are up in the new occurrences in their lives, the children that are born, the accomplishments that they are experiencing, and you remain in their lives. All of those things are guided by the Spirit of God within us. All of those things are there to show us what we need to do, how to do it. And we get to those places through not coincidence, but that leading, that just one day you look up and, wow, I haven't talked to so-and-so for a while. I wonder how they're doing. Or they may call you and say, you've been on my mind, and then I got busy doing something and I didn't call, but then you were on my mind again, and so here we are. Those are not coincidences. Those are times, I believe, and leading of the Spirit that's positioning someone back into your life. In the same way, you can be led even in a grocery store, and this is unusual. This is, but it happens to me all the time. I can go into the store for something. I'm looking down the aisles and I don't see it. And then I say, well, I guess maybe I'll get something else. And I get ready to leave that aisle. And this is particular and specific to me. And I'll feel dizzy. It's like, oh, stop. Number one, if you feel dizzy, stop. And then say, you know what? Let me go back and look again. And it never fails. It has never failed that every time I have that particular reaction, I realize you have overlooked something and you need to go back. And when I go back, I always find it. It has never failed. It's happened many, many times. I have come to understand this is not a physical condition. I'm not dizzy because something is wrong. I'm dizzy because I needed to stop. And having that little episode of syncope, which is what's called in a medical context, but having that little episode of dizziness will stop you. It'll make you wait. Just wait a second. And then I always get that understanding. Go back and look again. Go back and look again. And sometimes I've had to do it 2 or 3 times. It's like, it's not here. I don't see it. And I get ready to leave that aisle. And then I have that little wait just a minute. And every time I turn around and go back, there it is. That's one form. And then there are those times when you realize that you are outside of maybe how you normally think, that you would say something about this, or you would do something about this. You would put forth some type of action, but then somehow or another, it's like, nah, I think I need to be quiet. I need to not say anything. I need to just allow this to pass by. Those type of leadings, which will keep you out of trouble. Sometimes it's, do you want to go somewhere? No, I don't. I don't think I want to go this time. And then when you turn down that invitation, you find out later that maybe something inconvenient happened and you would have been stuck, or you would have been in that same place had you gone. So there's some leading of the internal voice within, and sometimes it may seem uncomfortable. I've also learned this to be true. And there's an expression that says the darkest hour is right before dawn. And sometimes you may have been preparing for something or seeking to do something, and it just seems like everything is going in the wrong direction. You're sad about it. You feel as though it's not going to happen. And so you just maybe even feel what could be termed as depression, because it's just not occurring. And then one day that breaks and you have what feels like just ultimate joy, just peace beyond understanding, and just truly happy, truly joyful. And then you get the call. I look at those very similar to childbirth. The labor before the birth of the child is always very difficult. But once that child is born, once that thing comes to pass, you have unspeakable joy. So I want you to begin to pay attention to the leading within. Do you feel that the Spirit is causing you to slow down just a bit? Maybe you're moving too fast. Is the discomfort that you're feeling actually the prerequisite to the benefit that you've been after? Are you having birthing pains? Are you experiencing what takes place right before what you've asked for will come to be? In Christianity, this is the place that you position your faith. When you've done all to stand, now you begin to stand. And when you've done that, you will always come out with what you desired. I hope this has been a benefit to you. If it has been, then please, and you'd like to know more, visit my website at www.DrAnitaMc.com. Join me on Wisdom, follow me on FanBase, and keep coming back. Remember that becoming is a process has stages. And you must always, and I do mean always, invest in yourself. Thanks again for being with me. This is Dr. Anita with another Diamond Moment.